All right. Well, I'll just leave the poll up for another minute. I'm going to let you know what's happening and how this event works. My name's Darby Love, and I'm a librarian from Vancouver Island Regional Library. I'm in Nanaimo First Nations territory, Snow as well, just on the border of those two. And the library is really happy that we have this great partnership with Vancouver Island Master Gardeners. It has been a long-standing partnership. I think we're in our fourth year. We record these sessions with only the faces and names of the presenting panel end up in it. Um, and then we put them on YouTube and on the library's website so that there is a resource for years to come on different topics. If you haven't seen the back catalog of sessions, I'm sure you'll find something that fascinates you. We've got lots of different topics from unusual vegetables to rhododendrons to fire smart gardening, um, small space planning, just various topics. And we always love to hear what other topics you would like to see. So please feel free to make suggestions. Um, we've got some really great ideas from those too. Okay, the session will be about an hour of our Master Gardener who's presenting, Mike. He will talk about rain gardens. And if you have any little clarifying questions, what did he say? Or here's a cool um, place that I like to get whatever we're talking about, you can put that in the chat. And Richard and Ruth will answer little clarifying questions in the chat. And then we can put the like big meaty questions for Mike at the end of the presentation in the Q&A feature on the bottom, which just makes sure that we don't miss any of your questions because the chat is like a giant river. And the Q&A, we can kind of mark off that we've answered your question. Your questions make these sessions awesome, and you can also, we'll open it up to be things that are not always rain garden related once we're through the rain garden questions. Okay, I think that's how it works. Um, Wonderful. We've got some people here, and I will let you know some more information about Mike O'Neill and the poll. Oop. Okay. Normally I have an assistant. Okay, Mike O'Neill is a retired accountant with a technology background, which explains how great he was at Zoom today. After retiring, Mike and his partner Mary moved to Nanaimo on Vancouver Island. Mary encouraged him to expand his garden knowledge, and he completed the classroom training and VIMGA Intern experience requirements to become a certified Master Gardener in 2017. He's held various positions with Vancouver Island Master Gardeners and now serves as the president. You didn't tell me you're the president. He enjoys lifelong learning and sharing his experience and knowledge with others. Wonderful. Thanks so much, Mike. And we've got Richard Bernier, who is our Master Gardener Wrangler, as well as Librarian Wrangler, with the giant tropical behind his head. And Ruth Beelman is another Master Gardener who is helping with the chat and who's going to do a session coming up soon. Over to you, Mike.
Great. Well, thank you for that introduction. I'm very pleased to be sharing my general knowledge of rain gardens with you today. It's such a huge topic and lots of information is out there. So I encourage you to look at some of the sources I'll talk about later on. So we're going to talk about rain gardens, planning, design, construction, and maintenance. And really just an overview, but it's still a long presentation because there's lots of material here. So my name is Mike O'Neill. I'm with the Vancouver Island Master Gardeners Association. And the most exciting part of the show is the next slide, which will be coming up shortly. is This seminar is the property of the Vancouver Island Regional Library and Vancouver Island Master Gardeners Association, and is intended for education purposes only. Commercial use of all or part of this seminar or its contents is prohibited without express written consent from the Vancouver Island Master Gardeners Association and Vancouver Island Regional Library. The information in this seminar is science-based and is accurate to the best of VIMGA's knowledge. Use of this information in the seminar is at the sole discretion, responsibility, and liability of the user. So a little bit about Vancouver Island Master Gardeners is a chapter of the Master Gardeners Association of British Columbia, a member of an international service organization of specially trained volunteer teachers dedicated to stewardship of the environment. Master Gardeners work in partnership with public sector agencies, garden clubs, nonprofit organizations, and private enterprise to teach and promote science-based sustainable horticultural knowledge and methods. And some images and information are from internet sources and other book sources. And these are all labeled and cited. And we thank the persons and companies for their use in this nonprofit educational seminar. So after that exciting part is over with, let's get into it. So the presentation overview today will be in part, why create a rain garden, and then site selection of your rain garden, planning and design, design elements, materials and tools needed, mostly shovels, and construction, maintenance, and the monitoring of your rain garden, and resources and assistance. And I just want to remind you again, this is an information overview, and you're certainly encouraged to research details, particularly for your own particular area and climate that you live in. So why create a rain garden? Well, stormwater management is a big part of that, and you can see in the photos here what I'm talking about. It captures and absorbs roof, driveway, and lawn runoff, and it reduces flooding and erosion. It also helps prevent water accumulation around home perimeter and weak or damaged drain tile systems. And I don't know, some of you may live in older homes. Certainly older drain tile systems are under stress with some of the rains we get now in quantity. So we'll do see basement flooding from time to time. It also it will improve water quality. So it filters out pollutants from water before it reaches storm drains, streams, or the ocean. And it acts as a groundwater recharge. Instead of water rushing away, a rain garden allows it to soak into the soil. So habitat and biodiversity, something we're all concerned about and pay attention to nowadays. It supports pollinators, attracts bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds, and wildlife habitat for birds, beneficial insects, and amphibians can benefit a lot from the diverse plantings as well. A very nice feature of a rain garden is property value. It can be a striking landscape feature, and you'll see in some of the lovely pictures that I've gathered today that it can increase property value while creating a real natural look for garden design. And it has an economic advantage as well, potentially reducing your irrigation costs. And once developed, usually needs very little fertilizer, water, and or care once it fills in, but it does take some time, 1 or 2 years to get going. And of course, they are very beautiful. And again, you'll see many great pictures in this show today. So site selection. So you can sort of picture yourself in a city lot in this design stage. We have water coming from different places, so we want to see where that water is going to drain to, and we want to do a soil perk test for our site selection and suitability. We want to pick 2 or 3 spots within your rain garden area and dig some test holes about 30 centimeters, and for my American friends, 12 inches deep and 15 centimeters or 6 inches wide. Fill the hole to the top and then let it completely drain. And then that's just to saturate. And then you refill the hole to about 15 centimeters. Set your timer and measure the water level every 30 minutes to an hour and calculate your infiltration rate. It's pretty straightforward to do. And if you get more than 2 inches an hour, that's pretty fast. It's too fast. Ideally, 1.5 to 2 inches per hour is perfect for a rain garden catchment area. Less than 1/2 inch, it's really too slow. So you'd have to think of some modifications that would be a drain type that you can control. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And you can see that just two pictures of a whole illustration here. It doesn't have to be a fancy setup, just a tape measure and a container of water. So slope is very important. We want to talk about slopes between 2 and 10% slope. 5% is ideal. And you can picture this. If you have a really steep slope, the water's going to run much too fast to be an effective capture point. And if it's too slow, you have the same problems inverse. So steeper slopes, a gentle slope does work the best, but steeper slopes will require that you terrace or multiple gardens. It's a little bit more of a project, that's for sure. So more than 2 inches per hour, too fast. 1/2 to 2 inches per hour, perfect. Less than a 1/2 inch per hour, too slow. And you can kind of see the dish in the picture where it goes and get an idea of what your dig's going to look like. You also have to be pretty considerate of your neighbor's properties when you're directing, especially the excess water flow. You're going to get flooding out, and you're going to not want that water to just dump into the neighbor's yard or into their drive or whatever. So you'll want to be paying attention to where that excess water is going to end up. And when possible, you always want to use natural ground depressions and slopes where they exist. You may have to build them, but you could find an area where they are working naturally well. Proximity. So we've heard this before, location, location, location. So we want to be at least 3 to 4 meters or 10 to 15 feet from any foundations at all. That's for certain. Septic systems and wells too. Locate it in the paths where the water flows from and the low point in these paths, and avoid steep slopes again. Obviously away from tree roots that might be disturbed during excavation. And please understand your local bylaws, building codes, and any stormwater regulations, of which there are a lot. Call before you dig. Most of, at least every municipality I know, has a call before you dig approach, either online or telephone. It will be a call to make certain you know where gas lines are, water lines, and underground utilities. In British Columbia, it's click or call before you dig. BC One Call, it's called, and I put the website up there. Very easy to find, though, wherever you are in the world. And gas companies and hydro operators will provide you with that information. So on planning and design, so sizing your rain garden. Rain gardens don't have to be any particular size. They can be small and large and in between. So, but estimate your catchment area, where it's a roof or a driveway, or where you're gathering your water from, basically, that's contributing to your site. And as a rule of thumb, your garden should be 20 to 30% of that hard surface draining. It's just a rule of thumb, though. It can be whatever size you can manage, but that's a good rule to follow. The shape and layout, obviously, curved, kidney, oval shapes, they blend best with our residential landscapes. And for the ponding, the depth can be around 15 to 30 centimeters or 6 to 12 inches for residential lots. Inlet and outflow, direct the downspouts or swales to the garden, and they provide an overflow outlet or a rock spillway or shallow swale to carry excess water safely. So you'll see in the illustration a basic layout of the rain garden, the full depth of the rain garden with your soil mix in the bottom. Up above that, you have your mulch layer, whatever that might be. And then you have your ponding area. And that's for when water does accumulate in your rain garden and stays floating for a little while it drains. And you can see the outlet on your right-hand side there, and the runoff area on the left-hand side. And that's a typical look of a rain garden, very simplified, of course. So soil amendments. As master gardeners, we often talk about soil amendments are a little bit of folly, but they do have their place and they do work. We all know about the effects of soil texture on water infiltration. You know, clay is low percolation, silt is medium percolation, and sand, the water just runs through it. So those are the fine features of different soil amendments. So you can amend your soil to improve infiltration and nutrient capacity. And for common clay soils, you can add sand and organic matter to improve your drainage. Many of us are in clay soils, and we would have to do something like that. Your target mix is about 50% sand, 25% topsoil, and 25% compost. So if drainage is too poor, that's less than a half inch per hour. There are complex ways of managing drainage with piping, etc. But relocation could really be is going to be a simpler and a less costly solution. Um, so just take it easy on yourself and don't be too sticky on staying in one area. Try and check other areas of your garden if the percolation is not good. So plant selection. Probably one of our favorite things to do, of course, being gardeners. So you have to keep in mind these sort of basic rules. People break things up into many zones. I use kind of 5 in my illustration, but the bottom zone is the wettest, of course. You want to put rushes, sedges, marsh marigolds, iris, those sorts of things in the bottom area where it stays wet or does get very wet. Mid-slope zone of your rain garden, it's periodically moist, so you want to put native ferns, bee balm, cardinal flower, for example. I'm going to have a lot more examples later on. In the upper zone, that's the very driest edges, of course. So your ornamental grasses, coneflowers, even black-eyed Susan can go on in the upper zone. So the real trick of these gardens is management. A lot less. If you use native species for resilience and biodiversity and pollinator support and your support, because they're going to take a lot less care than other more exotic species. And use a mix of deep-rooted perennials, shrubs, and ground covers for stability, because you want to hold the form, particularly as it's getting set up. It'll take a while to fill in, and you want to make sure you can hold that form of the garden. And consider also your year-round interests with varied bloom times and colors, so you can kind of stage the show to happen all through the seasons and be beautiful at all times of the year. So Vancouver Island, I'm going to talk about Vancouver Island because that's where I am, and that's what I got most of my information from. But many of these things will help work well in the whole Pacific Northwest area, and indeed in many areas on the western side of North America. But you have to look to your local sources for particular things. Interestingly, that flag that you see on the right-hand side is really an unofficial flag of Vancouver Island. It's recreated from an 1865 colonial blue ensign and the former colony seal of Vancouver Island. And it was recreated by Michael Halloran in 1988. And I just show you that for interest only. So I want to talk about Zone 1, basin. This is standing water after storms, and these species will tolerate periodic flooding and saturated soils. So skunk cabbage, the Latin name is there for you to practice pronouncing, bold foliage and spring yellow blooms and a tremendously strong scent. I'm sure many of you have smelt it before. So that's a good one for the bottom. Slow sedge, which has dense clumps and erosion control, very good for erosion control. Soft stem bulrush, tall, very vertical form, and it's very good for water filtration. And these are just samples, so there's many more you can pick. Douglas spirea, and it is a native plant with pink flower clusters, supports, and pollinators. And from left to right, you'll see a picture of the skunk cabbage, probably very familiar to many of you. Don't step on it. The sedge, the sedge is next. Then you see your bulrush and your spirea, which is beautiful color plant. In zone 2, these are the lower side slopes. So it's moist and it's occasionally saturated. So the plants here want moist soil, but they don't tolerate long-term flooding. So some examples, and these are all native species to West Coast, Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Oregon, and other places. Pacific willow, which is a shrub or tree, great for wildlife. And the red dogwood, which is a beautiful plant, has red stems berries for birds. Sitka alder, nitrogen fixer, stabilizes soils. And lady fern, which is lush green fronds and shade tolerant. And you'll see from left to right again, I've shown you pictures of the willow on the left. Next, the dogwood, then the alder, and then the fern. And in the top right side, that's the red osier dogwood in its bearing stage. So quite a neat looking plant. As I said, I do 5 zones, but many just use 3, but 5 is better in my mind. So zone 3 is the mid slope. So it's moist to dry. It is well drained. And these species that like soils that drain within a day or two after a rainfall. Again, native plants, the sword fern, which is an evergreen fern, very, very durable. Western columbine, which is red yellow flowers, and it attracts hummingbirds. And that's a picture of the flower on the upper right hand side there. Very attractive. Goat's beard, fluffy white flowers, and they thrive in moist shade. And salmonberry, beautiful spring flowers, and they have edible berries. So that's the bonus of salmonberry. And left to right, you'll see our fern, our columbine next, our goat's beard, and then our salmonberry. So zone 4 is the upper side slopes of our rain garden, and that's in the berm area. Occasional rainfall, a little bit drier. And these plants that are here will prefer drier soils, but they do benefit occasionally from rain garden watering. So the first plant is ocean spray, a suggestion, airy white flowers and very drought tolerant. Snowberry, I can remember these as kids, squishing them on my friends. We had a different name for them. I can't remember offhand, but it was quite fun to throw them around. They have a white berry and they're very, very hardy shrub. Nootka rose, which is pink blooms, wildlife habitat, and I'm sure you've all smelled Nootka roses. They have a lovely scent to them. Tall Oregon grape, which is evergreen, has yellow flowers and blue berries. And in the upper right, as is my custom, you'll see a picture of the blue berries that the Oregon grape produces. So the zone 5, which is the upland surrounding area of your rain garden, dry, going to be well drained, best for edges or adjacent landscaping where the soils generally remain dry. So I had to practice this word for a long time. Kinnick, which is a very favorite plant of many folks on the island. It's great ground cover, has evergreen leaves and red berries, and very hardy. The Douglas aster, which is a purple daisy-like flowers and very pollinator friendly, of course. Nodding onion, which is an allium, of course. Pink flowers, clusters, and attractive to bees. And the deer won't eat it because they don't like onions. That's what they tell me anyway. Evergreen huckleberry, which is glossy foliage and edible berries. And again, pictures from left to right, we see the kinnick and the Douglas aster next with the beautiful purple flower, nodding onion, and the evergreen huckleberry. And the berries in the top are the evergreen huckleberry fruit for you to have a look at there. So plant tips for us after those samples. So planting in layers supports the stormwater infiltration and the biodiversity and the resilience. And you want to acquire native plants from your regional suppliers, and this really avoids invasive lookalikes, and it does support local genetics. Asking for plants by scientific names does ensure you're getting the plant you want, because there's lots of different ones. And I've just put a little example there of the common name versus the scientific or botanical name. And it really does have meaning when you're shopping for the right plant. So try and find those botanical names if you can, as hard as they can be from time to time. So the hard part is the construction phase. You may like to have machinery and toys you want to utilize. Like this gentleman here has a sod cutter that he's decided he's going to break out and use, which can be fun, I guess. But once you've decided your location, size, and design based on your percolation tests, and catchment area needs and your site conditions, then you can start your construction project. So assembling your tools and supplies, it can be very simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. And of course, you can use backhoes and things like that if you want, but that's a lot more work than we're talking about today. For a residential size garden, it shouldn't be a complex list. Measuring tape, some wood stakes, some rope, string, or groundwater paint for layout, hammer, shovels and picks, rain garden soil mix, and level board for soil leveling and mulch and water access, and inflow pipe, and then rocks for overflow and inflow. And to construct a simple rain garden, basically you're going to check the location for inflow and outflow, lay out the outline marking inflow and overflow areas, excavate the garden according to your depth, slope, and overflow area, install any pipes or downspouts you need to direct water to the garden, create a berm for managing your overflow for heavy storms, and place your soil mix inside your excavation and don't overcompact it. And line your inflow and outflow areas with rock to prevent soil erosion when the water comes down. Placing edging around the outside can be very helpful in doing the garden as well. And I've had some pictures here of different layouts, repeats. Expect most of the water of your garden to drain into the ground. Big storms will require you have an overflow area. Design the garden with an overflow using rock lining to minimize erosion and make certain your overflow does not impact your neighbor's property. Lay out the garden so it fits your area. Use string or garden hose to get a rough shape. Install your inflow pipe from your downspout or water source so it slopes toward the garden. Use rocks to deter erosion at the output. Where the water enters the rock will slow it and pad against erosion. Be sure to double check your water flow lines both in and out. Excavate the garden. If you have poor quality soil, that is where you will allow for using a rain garden soil mix. Remember, 50% sand, 25% topsoil, 25% compost. Check the soil by clumping the soil in a ball, and if it forms tight, that means it has high clay content. Don't mix sand in with your clay or you'll get cement. Make the bottom of your excavation flat, very important. Fill it with 15 to 24 inches of soil mix. Try not to compact. And in total, you'll need to excavate at least 107 centimeters or 42 inches. For the ponding depth, 12 inches. Assuming no berm, additional soil mix, 24 inches. And this can vary depending on your garden size, but it's quite a hole you're going to dig. If you have better quality soil, set those aside for mixing with compost. Then you would use 65% excavated soil and 35% compost. So if you're using a berm to hold back water, it needs to be watertight. The berm has to be watertight. Sandy soil drains, well, isn't the best material for a berm because it has to hold the water back. Consider bringing in soil with higher clay content, or if you have it, make the berm out of that. And be sure to firmly compact the berm as you build it every few inches that you add. Some edging will also help to protect the garden and separate it from the rest of your landscape. Once you've completed the base garden area and filled it, you can mold the slope and zones for planting and moisture layers of your garden using the plants of your choice based on location and environment. Remember to plant with good spacing, following the instructions for each plant. And here we see the 3-zone approach. Generally, big picture of your rain garden showing the inflow, ponding depth, top surface of the ponding area, side slopes, your mulch layer. Lots of information on the internet if you're inclined to go and look at different types of design work. So for maintenance and monitoring, our final step, we should make sure we have access to the bottom of the garden without too much disturbance. A few well-placed stones will help the task nicely without compaction. Water your garden is very important until it's well established. Monitor for erosion, weak spots, and weeds. And over time, the garden will grow and fill in nicely where it will be very low maintenance. And don't be shy to replace underperforming plants and adjust the garden to suit the conditions. Use mulch all over your garden surface to prevent erosion, weeds, retain moisture. Best to use fresh wood chips and not pure bark mulch or aesthetic mulches. And a picture of a wheelbarrow with some nice chips and a map of chip drops, which is a local service on Vancouver Island. Avoid fertilizers and pesticides in your garden. They're not needed with your nutrient-filled soil mix and mulch. And don't get caught up in size. A small rain garden is very effective and easy to maintain. And I've got some lovely pictures of rain gardens, which we're going to speed through here because I'm a minute over time already. And but enjoy these lovely shots.
You don't need to hurry, it's fine.
Okay, so I'll give you a chance to look at some of those gardens. You can see that you can use different forms of mulch in your garden or combine mulches. It has a very attractive look and gets rid of our lawn and lawn maintenance projects. And here you notice the gravel and rock use in the inflow and outflow areas. This on the left looks like a very serious rain garden. There's a water diversion project going on here, and it seems to be working out very well for these folks. Driftwood and gravel rocks in your rain garden really make it an attractive show, and it's very, very nice to see those kinds of different things in the gardens. Here's a lovely whole front yard kind of rain garden. Bit different with the path over top of the input where the rocks are, but you can step over that or borrow it off from people, I guess. Lovely rain garden on the left, boulevard type rain garden. Same on the right here. So just after your big hedge, a collection of water is taking place there in both those spots. And hopefully you have lots of friends to help you do it, and you see them standing on boards to avoid compaction and do a better job of taking care of the garden in the initial build stages for sure. And a bit of a commercial one from Gresham, Oregon. It was a photo from the city of Gresham, just a rain garden with signs in it. So it's kind of a cute idea too. And then here's a commercial garden courtesy of BC Landscape and Nursery Association. So if you have a business, you can participate as well. And this is another way to do it. So a lot of web resources for rain garden information, planning and construction. I use Regional District of Nanaimo, Washington State University Extension, super duper site. Stream Team, which is a Washington State nonprofit. The Capital Regional District, and Simon Fraser University. And those are just a few of them. There's so many websites available for information and details. And search the internet for reliable sources on rain gardens. And it usually will consist of your educational orgs and your municipal and state or province sites as well. Endless sources of articles that I've referred to for pictures in no particular order. I want to give them credit. You can see them on the screen here. I won't list them completely, but you'll be able to view this video many times over if you wish to, and you can see all of the contributing folks. And I'll let you know I did use ChatGPT for organizing and sourcing some information for the presentation, and it worked very well if you have an inclination. So thanks for watching. Sorry I'm a little longer than you thought I'd be. If you had to leave, I'm sorry. So any questions now on a very quick overview of rain gardens?
Thanks, Mike. We don't have any in the Q&A yet. I have a question about that mulch map that you had, though. Tell me how that works.
Oh, so there's a company, there's a few of them around, but one is called Chip Drop, and you can register online. And when they go and cut down a tree at somebody's yard or do something like that, they will want to take the chips somewhere where they don't have to pay, and that could be to your home. So
Yeah.
they'll put you on a list, and they'll take the truck and dump them, and you do it all online. And I think the average wait has been about a month, although I was on there for a year and didn't get any. So maybe they just weren't in my neighborhood or something. So it's a free source of chips. Chips are hard to find unless you're making your own, which is another fun way to get chips, which is when you do all your pruning in your yard to save all those branches and stuff and rent a chipper and fly at it. So that map showed all the drops on the island where they drop in the last 3 months.
Great. And Richard, we talk on this series a lot about arborist chips. That would be that.
Yes,
Great, because
that's definitely arborist chips. It wouldn't be like bark mulch.
That's right.
Bark mulch has,
horsetails.
yeah.
Bark
All
mulch
of them.
seals your soil. Just think of a tree has bark on it and it seals the tree. So you put that on top of your soil, a few heat waves and a few rains, pretty much got an impenetrable screen on top of your soil. So you want to be careful about that decorative bark mulch and stuff like that because
So
think of bark on a tree.
arborist chips or arborist mulch from
Yeah.
Chip Drop for us on Vancouver Island is that's the real source. Because I was thinking I'd have to chase down people on the street that I drove past or whatever.
No, they're available. Almost every soil supplier has a chip selection as well.
Right. I'm actually just calling, I've called the town of Qualkin Beach to see if they would drop off some chips because they have a chipping program twice a year in the fall. And then in the spring, you just put out what you need chipped and they chip it for you and haul it away. So, yeah. So I'm hoping they will drop off their chips.
I'm gonna make my own this year. I've been gathering my neighbors' cuttings from their trees and pruning for them. So
Do you have a
I'm
chipper then?
I'm gonna rent one.
Ah, okay.
Get ready, it'll take 8 hours.
Well, you've done this before.
Yes.
Some
We
people
bought our own chipper now, though.
Oh boy. So, well, that's a good idea. Is that Ruth that said that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So, buddy, hey, buddy.
so
Somebody was asking, will the slides be available? So the show is
Mhm.
recorded so that they'll be up on YouTube. But I don't know how long it takes, a week or something to.
If I might be able to get it up tomorrow or it'll be next Monday.
Then you'll be able to
We
view the
will
slides again.
email
That's
them out. Mike, so it would be getchipdrop.com. Does that sound like the right site?
chipdrop.com. Let
That's
me
it.
check that out. That is it. And
Great.
just do a search for Chip Drop Vancouver Island or wherever your location
Yeah.
is.
That's a really neat idea.
And
So
they will
they-
dump chips.
So is it right throughout the whole island, Mike, then?
Is what?
Is it through the whole island?
Yep, it goes through the whole island area.
Oh, okay.
You can go to getchipdrop.com and register, and they put you on the list, and you never get chips. No, I didn't get chips for a year, but you're supposed to get chips pretty quick.
Other people have had great success with it, Mike said. We have two rainwater questions in the Q&A. Thank you, Gurpreet and anonymous attendee. The first one is, are rain gardens recognized by local governments as a reliable and effective stormwater management system?
Absolutely. They love you for it.
They
They
do.
might even pick up your garbage quicker. Who knows? But they do. They support you throughout for doing it. It is one of the great things. And cities are constructing their own rain gardens in their own areas as well. Quite
Well,
often.
it saves on runoff. It also actually recharges the water table because you're actually holding the water there,
Right.
right? So in Qualkin Beach on Memorial and Crescent, there's a big water garden there where they realigned the two roads and they put in quite a nice
Yep.
rain garden.
Absolutely.
Cool. The second bit of that was, are these more than to be used in combination with a conventional infiltration pit made of tanks and gravel voids?
No, so you're talking about your design for a drain system for flooding mitigation. I
Mm.
think you are. Certainly a rain garden can supplement that, but it wouldn't be part of that system per se. It might be in proximity to it. But a rain garden is a much lighter version of that quite dramatic flood mitigation system you'd have with tanks and those sorts of things. You want to avoid putting it anywhere near your septic system. That's for sure,
Yeah.
for obvious reasons.
Too much liquid in the ground.
There is a question there that we missed. How practical is for an area where in heavy shade due to mature trees?
Well, first of all, the problem you're going to have with mature trees is the root system, right? You can't start hacking off roots. Any root you cut off 2 inches, like cutting off the arm of a tree. So if you have lots of trees, you're going to have to make some choices. Probably the trees are a pretty good little rain garden themselves because they're going to suck up a lot of moisture. But definitely you do not want to put a rain garden in the middle of a bunch of mature trees. That would be not a good outcome for your trees.
If I could add something to it, there are willows that will do quite well in wet areas,
That's
which
right.
actually, yeah, willows would be all right, but you'd have to keep them away from any other, they can be quite ravenous, hungry, and they can actually dry out the soil quite a bit.
So I kind of closed my eyes and pictured 4 big maple trees and then digging a rain garden in the middle of that. That was my idea for it. Don't do that. It's the root systems they go a lot further than you think when you look at a tree.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So there's a question in the webinar chat. Are white pine tree wood chips acceptable? Someone
Absolutely.
stated they're
Yeah.
too acidic and would change the pH. Please advise. Thank you.
Right. So all chips are going to change the pH and all chips, but don't dig your chips in. White pine is fine. Cedar is fine. All the myths about chips have been busted wide open. So white pine chips are absolutely great. And the trick is do not dig your chips into the soil.
Into the soil. Yeah.
That would be not a good move, but lay them on top. You'll be amazed at the amount of less weeding and water retention that you will
Yeah.
gain.
How
And
about, yeah, 2 to
they will-
4 inches, 2 to 4 inches, and don't put them right up to the plants, like leave a
Yeah.
little bit of area around the plants, but they're perfect.
and
Perfect.
don't put them where you're going to be planting lots of stuff because you'll have to pull them back all the time. So I've been doing that for the last year. But we use cedar chips actually, and cedar chips are just fine. Absolutely.
Great. Gurpreet had a follow-up question. She said regarding the flooding tank that you're addressing. Yes, this is for managing post-development flows and matching them to pre-development flows.
Could you repeat that question?
This is for managing post-development flows and matching them to pre-development flows. Perhaps pre like a build of a house, or I'm not sure.
I wouldn't be managing any pre-development flows, if I understand the question correctly, because you're constructing on the property. So the whole thing's going to change and there's going to be a lot of compaction with machinery building and stuff. Mostly you're building a rain garden on a mature, already gardened out property, where you're identifying the rain flows either from a roof, a patio, sidewalk, where you want to capture the excess rain instead of letting it just drain off your lawn across the sidewalk into the storm sewer. You want to treat that first, and the best way you can treat it is within a rain garden. It benefits your garden. It filters the water, and it helps the local water table stay high as well.
I also would add to that in a garden that's already there, you can see where the wet spots are, so that you already actually know where the water is going to collect. So if you use that collection area as your rain garden, well, then you're that much further ahead, right? So you don't have to do any of these other perk tests or anything else. But I've always lived in the garden or the house for a year so that I can get an idea of the lay of the land or the sun exposure, or what kind of how wet the soil is. Does it retain water? Does it not? So, gardens evolve.
Yeah, I will remind everybody again, you'll be so amazed as soon as you start searching for rain gardens in your own area, how much information comes up and the wonderful, wonderful ideas and support you'll get for building them. They're the hot ticket this year.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a question from Felicia. I was going to locate my rain garden in the path of a runoff path. It sounds like I should move the rain garden off to the side of the runoff gullies. These are about 3 to 12 inches deep. Is that correct?
So if you've got a runoff gully, you want to redirect or push the water a bit to your rain garden. You may not want to take all that water into your rain garden unless you can supply a great overflow. So you might want to not put it right in front of that gully. Yes, you're right. Go off to the side. And the depth of the rain garden, it really is, you're going to dig down about 42 inches because remember, you're going to have your bottom of your hole, which is going to be flat. And then you're going to put soil in that hole, which is amended. And then you're going to want to have the ability for water to accumulate in the garden up to 6 inches and to do the overflow. So it's not just the 12 inches that you're dealing with. You dig your hole quite deeply, like the 42-inch level, and then you start layering all your things up and make sure it's key that you have room for ponding. What we call ponding, everybody understands what that is, where the water fills up and it looks like a pond for a few hours, sometimes a whole day. Does that help?
Oh. She says, yep.
Good.
It's good.
Can I ask the panelists a question?
Of course.
Sounds like Mike has a rain garden.
No, I don't. I use rain barrels actually, and I gather
He's
all
a
my roof.
fraud.
I gather no, I gather all my roof water in rain barrels, and I don't need a rain garden because I have a very, very dry place that I live in, so I don't need to have a bit of rain
And
garden.
I don't need a rain garden either because I collect my roof, the water off my roof. I have a cistern, 3,000 gallon cistern that has an overflow that goes into the gully, but I use that water for watering my garden.
And ditto, I have 18,500 liters of rainwater capacity at my house. So I
Like
keep that
these
for
are
all my
bunkers.
plants. Pardon me?
You other guys live in bunkers or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
But I have a friend who has a beautiful rain garden that when she built her house, they landscaped it in her whole front yard in Parksville.
well, here I raised the lot up quite a bit, so I don't have an area where the water actually collects. So
On your neighbor's lawns?
no, it doesn't collect anywhere.
You're not supposed to put it on your neighbor's lawn.
Sounded like he elevated himself above.
The nice thing about rain gardens too is that you can do it on a very small city lot. You can put your design down very small and it'll be very effective no matter how big your property is. My brother has an acre. He could rain garden the whole property. He has so much water on it. So there's lots of different ways and different ideas to do it and
Is your
so
brother
much support.
is your brother on the island, Mike?
Yeah, he's in Lanceville.
Okay. Upper Lansford or lower?
It's on the other side of it, so it's lower.
Lower. Okay.
The top of the lower part.
So it sounds like rain gardens are maybe a good solution for somebody who's having like some accumulation of moisture in their yard already. Is that
That's
Yeah.
absolutely true. That's one of the prime solutions, and for gathering water off of areas like roofs and diverting the water away from your home and gathering it into a rain garden. So utilization of water is the key here. Instead of letting it flow into the storm sewers or over the concrete
Yeah.
down the hill, it flows into your garden and gives you some beautiful irrigation for free.
Yeah, a lot of schools, a lot of government buildings, a lot of shopping centers, all these things are using rain gardens now as a place to put all that water that's coming off.
off the
I
roofs?
don't know.
Well, if you look at the prairies, they build storm lakes because they can't handle the water that actually comes down all of a sudden. So all this water off the streets actually goes into these rain catchment areas, basically. They're like little lakes spread throughout the neighborhoods.
I saw one of those in Edmonton and there were pelicans in it.
Yeah, yeah.
It was so cool.
And of course, they got very clay soil there, so the water just stays put.
Well, one of the when I was driving around on my bike, just looking at rain gardens around Nanaimo, I saw a lot of them. You'd be surprised. Many of them were on boulevards where people had long driveways, long paved, double wide driveways. And so that water normally would just come off that driveway, cross the sidewalk, and go into the drain, right down the storm drain. So they take their boulevard. You got to watch your local rules because cities don't like you putting things on their property. But a rain garden's a pretty harmless structure. And I saw a lot of folks putting them on their boulevards to collect water that's running off their slope property across the other side of the sidewalk. So that was an excellent usage. If I was under time, I was going to show you some videos of my gatherings, but I was over time
We
actually.
actually we go till 8, so
You were under time by a
you were
half
under
hour.
time. Not to
What?
be critical, but you could show a video. I
Okay.
think we'd love to see it.
Yes.
Would you? Okay,
Yeah.
let me get one up.
I don't think we've ever had a presenter who's quite so on time.
Oh my.
Often we're everybody has to go to bed now. People get enthusiastic about their topics.
Come on, I've only ever been 1 minute or 2 minutes over.
I
Okay,
may have been talking about Joe Canning.
so
Joe
I've
has a lot of
edited one
enthusiasm.
video
Just
here
be
that I'll show
prepared.
you.
Joe is presenting next month.
I know.
So I'll set up a share and I'll set this up
Think.
here.
And share the audio. I think you probably know how to do that.
I hope I can, but I'll be the audio if it doesn't come through to you.
Sounds perfect.
So this is along Bone Road in Nanaimo. Nobody will know where this is unless you live in this area, but it's a huge city park across from my area. Just riding around, and this is just an example of one fine rain garden that didn't have all the necessary components, but had really the strong features that you like to see, and you can see the slope of the property. So with no further ado, I will share. I hope you can see. Tell me if you can't see the video.
You can see your screen.
Can you hear the audio?
No, we can't see the.
We see your directory.
You're kidding.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna set that up again. My apologies, folks. I picked the wrong. There we are. I'm gonna share that. So there we go. That should work. Now, can you see it? The bike and the roadway?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna make it full screen. Still see it?
Mm-hmm.
We're rolling. So this is a rain garden off Bone Road.
The corner where the bike is, or on the other side?
Yeah, no, right on the corner to the left of the bike there.
I
Oh,
see
yeah.
it.
Oh,
I'm gonna run it again. So this is the rain garden area right here.
with all
Mhm.
the
And you can see he has lots of water runoff. And he's even gone into the boulevard there.
Huh.
that's a good spot for it because it's quite sloped.
And it looks so beautiful and natural too.
Mm-hmm.
So I've only edited one video, so I'm just going to show you the one because I'll just get embarrassed if I show the other one.
We do have a suggestion from Felicia about a session on collecting rainwater from roofs, downspouts, etc. No one in
Okay.
the area seems to have any idea how to design a collection system.
Oh, well, I could generally answer that question for you, but there's some detailed information in all your municipalities. Basically, everybody here is going to have eaves for collecting water off their roof. You're going to have downspouts. Take the downspout, cut it, redirect the water into a barrel. You can buy them commercially, or you can set up your own barrels of any kind into the barrel, redirect the rain spout, and then have an overflow, of course, out of the barrel back to your drains again. And that's how you collect rainwater. So there's lots of commercially available barrels, rain barrels you can buy, but if you can find some old barrels, I mean, we used to in the old days, but I don't know now, you can also use those
The other
to
thing is filter.
A very good resource for that is the Regional District of Nanaimo. And on there they have water, I think it's Water Smart or anyways, they have an excellent book, like a pamphlet that's on the website that tells you all about how how you need to do it and it's very simple.
The other thing is the RDN offers a grant for setting up rainwater collection systems. So they will give you some money towards it, but you have to apply before you actually build it. And you have to send them drawings and you have to tell them how are you going to collect it. They go through a whole process with you.
You have to send pictures and everything. We did it when we got ours.
Yeah.
Great. This is really neat just thinking about because we generally get quite a bit of rain on the West Coast. Those it's been a bit different the last few winters, but
Okay, so Felicia just said, my situation is more complex. I need to consolidate the runoff and then pump it around my little farm. I'm in USA, North Carolina.
So you might need a pond solution. That might
Yeah.
not be a rain garden concept for you. You might need to pond all the water somewhere, capture it. Either you can do it in an artificial vessel, or you can do it naturally in the ground with liners. Many folks do, and then decide on whether you can either gravity feed it to other areas of your property or pump it. But that's a much more complex project than a rain garden, and it's there's probably lots of resources out there for that too.
We have somebody in the chat saying, I use my dog's plastic
Great idea.
kiddie pool under the rain spouts and I empty the buckets inexpensively.
You have to really watch out for mosquito larvae if you don't
Yeah.
have a screen on top of it though.
it's a good
Or
tip.
some sort of cloth to keep the mosquitoes from laying the eggs in it.
Yeah.
Or I guess you could get some goldfish and put it in.
Yeah, that works too.
Don't do that. Then the raccoons will come and eat the
Oi.
goldfish.
Yeah. All those lovely critters we live with.
Great. Sounds like Felicia's gonna have a rain garden as well to slow runoff entering the pond. Sounds like this session has inspired her with her fairly massive rainwater issues.
So if you have an abundance of rainwater, there are just lots of different little tricks you can use to capture that water. But eventually, you can only have so much water held on your property. You're going to have to find a way to rid yourself of it. But there's plenty of ways. I know, Richard, you have a cistern system. I know all my friends on Gabriel Island, they have swimming pools that nobody swims in that they fill with water all through the winter, and they use them for irrigation in the summer. It's pretty amazing, actually. I just live in a little city lot in a city of Nanaimo, so I don't have any big, huge farmer problems like you folks have, kind of thing. I just have a simple city lot.
Well, my lot is only 55 by 125, and I got a cistern in there.
Yeah, that's a great thing, especially in your area, Richard, because you guys are short of water.
Oh yeah, it's really dry, and the summers keep getting drier and drier. Not not pleasant at all. We just had some rain this morning, which is probably we had rain 2 weeks ago, and then probably a month and a half before that. So yeah, the summers are really getting dry, too dry.
Somebody asked,
At my house, the at my house, the rain garden wouldn't work very well because I am sand, completely 100% sand. So it just soaks right through, and I could change, I could put clay and stuff at the bottom, but
Yeah, in your case, probably just large tanks would work better for you, right?
yeah.
The only other way of doing it is clearing off an area, bringing in clay or a liner or something like that, which is more expensive
I
than
would
just.
love a pond though.
The dream.
If you're
I'll make
wondering about the picture behind me, it is the city of Nanaimo from the water. Some folks ask me what that's a picture of. So that is Nanaimo and Mount Benson in behind. So it's real.
Yeah,
So if
that
you
palm tree isn't growing out of my head.
Mike, if
Yeah,
somebody had the opposite problem of Ruth and they had like just all clay, and you said you can't just mix sand in it because it makes cement, which makes
that's
sense.
right. Yeah.
So you'd have to do sand and
Right.
compost,
So
or
if you had clay, what you'd do is you'd excavate your site down about 42 or 40, this level of depth is not real important, but you want some depth. And then you'd flatten the bottom and then put your amended soil on top of that clay. Okay. And then
okay,
plant in that, and you're going to be fine.
okay,
Okay, you're still going to get percolation through your clay. You're going to have to do the percolation test to see what the number is, but you can also get fancy and put pipe down underneath your rain garden that you can control the access of the water. So if you're not getting good drainage, you get huge storms, you can open the pipe and let it drain. So there's lots of complex ways to handle slow drainage, but I'm saying the best way to handle it is to find another location if you can. But if you're clay, don't fear, you can manage it still, and it still will work wonderfully, particularly when you put in all your amended soil on top of that clay. Think of it kind of like a flower pot, right? And you're going to have the berm on top, and that's going to let the overflow go out and into whatever drainage area you're going to provide.
and I imagine just like with a regular garden, you might need to do some adjusting of your plants if you have like a really wet rain garden.
Yeah, well, different levels are going to be different
Yeah, like my
moisture
level
levels.
one might be bigger than
Yeah, yeah,
somebody
that's right.
else's.
So just adjust that, and don't be afraid. If plants don't do good in my place, they get kicked out. I don't hesitate to pull plants out of the ground and say, sorry, buddy, you're not cutting the mustard. You got to get out of here. So
Sharon has an additional comment. What do you do with the goldfish in the winter?
Oh, your pond goldfish.
yeah, I would never have fish in a pond on a city property. That would just
Yeah.
be fighting rats and raccoons to come to your house.
But
But
Don't have
And
them. Okay.
herons.
yeah,
so I,
it only freezes here a few days, so you could leave them out. You could leave them out all winter.
oh
Yeah, you
yeah,
think
we
it would
never
even
freeze a
freeze
whole
to the
pond here.
bottom.
Yeah.
No.
Kind of go into a torpor too.
We used to skate on all our lakes here, but we don't do that anymore. That's for sure.
No.
We never get any freezing
No,
winters.
not with the couple of millimeters of ice thickness that we get, if that.
Fish are a whole different animal. You can't just throw them in a pond of water. There's all sorts of things required to look after fish for more than a week. Think of when you're kids and you got a fish in a bowl, how long that lasted. And you put it in your bedroom, like pretty soon your dad was putting it down the toilet or whatever. So
Mike,
you
you're
can't you,
horrible.
you can't just throw them in a hole and just let them live. You have to do
You
things.
Ours
can't
got
flush them anymore because they'll end up in the in our water
Oh, you
courses.
shouldn't flush your fish. Shouldn't have
Yeah.
said that.
our goldfish got this big and then needed a bigger tank.
They had them in the little bowl and they're just sitting
He was
there.
in a 10-gallon tank and he got too big.
Oh my.
He was a monster. And my brother and I pulled him out of a drainage pond off of the power line where we lived. I think people released them for Persian New Year.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, a fish. And then we had 3 tanks and
Chinchillas are more fun than fish, I think.
it's a lot of stuff. If anybody has any non-rainwater garden questions, we could answer those for a few minutes if you have any of those. Otherwise, Ruth had put the Master Gardener um, helpline info in there. It's gardeningadvice.milnergardens@shaw.ca. That's the email address for folks in our weather area.
And just keep in mind, folks, that October 6th, our friend Joe Canning will be doing maximizing fruit trees, managing fruit trees, sorry.
They definitely need management. Just retyping the Milner Gardens helpline email for those listener viewers in the Vancouver Island area. Great. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions. Mike, Richard, or Ruth, do you have any closing comments?
Thank you very much, Mike. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you,
Well,
Mike.
and I kind of rushed. I got my timing lost, so I kind of rushed through the last part. I didn't really
He's
need
an
to.
accountant. He's very efficient.
I apologize for that. But the show will be up, and so you can go through all those detailed slides and have a look at some of them.
Yeah, I might try to put the links sort of live below it too, so you can click on them if Mike doesn't mind emailing them to me. That would be great.
I don't mind doing that. I could send anything. I could send you the whole show, and you could pick out what you want.
Yeah,
It's a small file.
I'm so grateful to all of our master gardeners for sharing their considerable wealth of knowledge, and to you, our listener watchers, too, for your enthusiasm for the topics and your own knowledge and experiences, too. I love when you share things in the chat. It's really cool.